Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Inner Connect show. I have yet another amazing guest lined up for this week. But before that, a thank you note for all the love and affection that you've been showing for the last 3 episodes. I really am very overwhelmed. And please do leave me your feedback, your comments. I always look forward to the same. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you this week's guest. This week's guest is Mr. Ram Kumar. Now, who is he? He is a leadership coach. He's a musician. He is an educator. Now, when was the last time you had such an amazing combination coming together in one single person, right? He's a very pedigreed person, and he's a gold medalist in his engineering days. He is a pass out from the Ivy League Indian School of Business and MBA from there. He's worked on the corporate world, and now he's following his passion, and he is a coach to some of the biggest companies, in the world. And he also does a lot of work on the parenting stuff as well. Wow. I have almost run out of breath talking about it. So without further ado, welcome Ram to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lavin. So kind of you. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a privilege.
Yeah. I hope I did not miss any of your accomplishments.
No. It's so kind of you. So kind of you. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Ram. So we begin with the signature question for this show, right? Which is, what is your inner connect? What are those things that puts Ram in a space of deep connection with himself?
Sure. So like you said in the question, the space of inner connect is when I am really connected to who I am. So I would, so basically I would divide it into two parts, the essence and the form. So within what I over the years have found out is essence of myself that I connect to. It has a few elements. So the first one is synchrony. Synchrony is like basically getting different elements into harmony and then getting them together to get something bigger. So it's almost like, let's say if you had these rivulets or small river streams running, each of them in their own rhythm and in harmony, and then they all join together to form a big river, and they are flowing in their full grace, etc. That's probably one. Then there are other elements like immersive learning. I really like to get into a subject deep, understand what is there in a subject, and then see how it can be applied, etc. So that's probably the second element. Then there are a couple of other elements. So for example, doing things very meticulously, and then perseverance. So having persevering, and also a sense of sufficiency that I've been across my life through situations where there weren't enough resources. Either when I grew up, or even when I was in corporate, I was always part of these businesses that we were starting up, and resources was always limited, right? And only when you got in money to the company will you get the resources to expand further. So, but then having the sense of sufficiency that, hey, there is enough, whatever you have, you can do with that, and then more things will come in. There is enough abundance in this universe, right? So this is probably the essence. And whenever I connect to this essence in whatever I do, that's when there's real joy. And how do I connect to these essences is then the forms in the living world, right? Like, for example, like I'm a musician, I play the mridangam, and I also teach music. I also learn and sing this art form called Drupad, which is a Hindustani vocal style. So whenever I'm like listening, whenever I'm like playing or listening to music or teaching, then that's when I get connect to a lot of harmony and rhythm, in that sense. And then also, let's say when I'm working as a leadership coach or as a business coach, so I run this venture called Business Clinic where we help businesses solve challenges. So if I could then say that what's my core purpose, it's basically to help individuals and organizations realize their potential. So as in realize as in both the meanings, as in, understand what's their potential. And then once understood, then how do you actually, get to your full glory and all of that stuff, so that you're really manifesting it out there in the world. So then these different forms, parenting, as a parenting or a life coach, that's one form. Helping the child really blossom, helping the parent have this co-creative journey with their children, that's one. As a life coach, helping people really connect to who they are within, right?
Absolutely.
Find their own inner connect, like your show says.
Yes.
That's so powerful, and so much, it gives so much joy. And similarly, as a musician, or as a leadership coach, parenting coach, business coach, whatever it be, different forms in which, things exist. So that's where, really gives true joy. And
I think that's so amazing, when you put it across like that the source of it is you, the essence of it is all in you. It's just taken on these different forms and you just take your essence, you convert them into the forms, whichever it is that you're interacting with at that moment. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about business, clinic that you spoke about. Now, this, as I understand, is obviously for companies who are facing challenges immediately and who need a quick solution, and then they come to you to help, so that you can help them tide over it as fast as you can. In your work so far on this business clinic front, what is the common thing or common theme that you have noticed in your work, with organizations? What are the challenges usually? What is the common underlying theme? And when you have given them the solutions, what has the common underlying theme for the solutions been?
Sure. So primarily, we have seen that the problems fall into three buckets. The first is planning, right? Like planning or strategizing as to, really looking deep within yourself and seeing who you are as a company also, right? As an organization, you can look at what is your essence. So finding out what's your essence. And then in terms of, drawing a life vision for the organization, saying, here is where I want to go. Or this is what is my essence. This is what is the core thing that I want to keep intact. And today the world is like this and tomorrow the world may be like this. How do I then start manifesting, and achieving my vision? So planning for that is one. Next, aligning all the leaders and the people you have in the organization, the systems to this plan so that, you can then execute it. And then the third thing is execution. Now, while these phases are common to organization, also what is common is they face different challenges across these. So depending on the size of the organization, the level of the problem or the complexity of the problem is slightly vary, but fundamentally problems is similar. Now, what happens then is, especially if you are a medium or a small scale enterprise or a micro enterprise, right? It becomes very difficult because as an entrepreneur or as a founder or as a CEO of this enterprise, many people feel very lonely. They have had this, they are connected to their essence, and it's literally like a struggle to kind of, get birth your idea and see it progress, right? And not all of them may be spiritually well connected deep within to the essence. So you are somewhere, this essence is there holding you, but then, you still have doubts in your mind because there are so many people around you who may have doubts. People who think logically, market research may say, you know what, this is a new idea, this may not work out, never happened in the past and all that stuff, right? So, but then these people have the conviction, and then they face some challenges either in terms of translating that idea, manifesting it, or in terms of, let's say, executing the idea to the finer details. So when this happens, they feel very lonely because at times they don't get advice that is timely, reliable, and affordable. Because, sometimes you have these companies that can do this, but then it takes a lot of time with big companies, and then it's not affordable. It's like very costly for you. So the whole idea of business clinic was that, we need to, just run along with, my colleague, Mr. V.M. Rajshekharan, who retired as the CEO of ITC, one of ITC's businesses, and Anush, who's the third founder here. So basically what we do is we try and figure out what's the challenge, right? So they submit the challenge and then we say, hey, here is your challenge. 2 hours, within 2 hours, in a 2-hour Zoom call, we get you experts. So we have more than 30 experts who have been there and done that in different fields. So we get those experts. We also have expertise in a few areas, having worked for 20, 30 years in different roles. So we come, and then our thing is to provide that person enough clarity, the solution or certain actionables that can lead towards a solution within those 2 hours. And so far we have been, I should say, quite successful at it, because fundamentally we are connected to that essence of helping the company out. No, it's not about, you know what, I got only this money from this person, so I only do this or something like that. The essence is to, this person has to bloom in his full potential. So how do we actually help the person remove the challenges that are coming in the way? Even if there are not any obvious challenges, how do we then help the person reach the next level that he or she wants to reach to, or his organization reach that level?
What will help the person or the organization immediately tide over so that they can at least get over this block and then move forward, right?
Yeah. While keeping the connection to the essence, while keeping the vision in mind, and while walking that path. Yeah,
absolutely. I always believe an organization is nothing but a collection of individuals, right? And as good as the individuals that you have, that good is going to be your company. And if all your essences somewhere tie in together, that's when the magic happens at the corporate level, right?
The beauty in all of this is that, at the essence level, there is fundamentally no conflict or contradiction. The contradiction comes in forms, right? So when people try to, let's say, get the same essence out as a HR leader or as a functional leader in an organization or as a CEO, they may be looking at the similar essences. They are all connected probably to the company's vision, essence, etc. But then when they try to manifest it as a form in their own role, forms are finite, right? They're not
Yeah.
infinite like the awareness or the essence. So somewhere, you apply more of your mind, etc. And somewhere there are certain conflicts that are possible. But fundamentally, if they are still connected to the essence, there is, they can all exist. They can be in harmony with themselves, their roles, and then as well as be in synchrony. So the whole system can then reach something much higher, which actually ties into my core essence as well. Whenever that happens, it's like there's so much joy. Yeah, yes,
Absolutely,
here is
because
some system that's working like that. So
it is
yeah,
about ultimately getting them to just relook and reconnect to the fact that, hey guys, this is what you started out with, right? So let's just
yeah,
bring
yeah,
that vision back, and then I think after that things start falling into place a little more quicker.
yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
you were on the corporate side, right? For how many years?
20 years, yeah, close to 20
20
years.
years, right? So for 20 years you were doing that, and now it's been about 4 or 5 years since you have been doing, all this very different work. How is the view different from outside of the corporate versus when you were in the corporate? What is different?
You
What is
know,
the immediate thing you were able to see and say that, oh my God, this looks very different from the outside?
on a lighter note, I am doing to the corporates what people from outside did to me. So obviously not like that, but see, the advantage is that having been in business, and I was helped establish businesses from scratch and scale them up to larger revenues, etc. So having gone through the journey and having played multiple roles, like right from strategy to execution, the whole width of it, and then new products, new solutions, etc. There is a lot of experience in terms of how to manifest what is your essence, right? In the corporate world, that definitely comes in handy. Now the advantage is, probably when I was in my corporate days, I used to work for, let's say, at one point of time, let's say, in one role I was working for one company, and also within that company maybe one business unit, etc. And maybe in some opportunities across business units, or let's say working on strategic level initiatives at a company level, but still for the company, for the industry, or cross-industry initiatives. Here, it's like the field is wide open, right? Every human being potentially on the planet, every organization you can go and touch. There's absolutely like full freedom, no restrictions, like nothing binding you. So the sheer learning that comes along with it. I mean, that's such a humbling experience, because every time you connect, there is so much you learn from so many people, and then you also share what you can with them. So collectively, then you can do so much more. So yeah, the difference I would say is, obviously, it's been a continuous learning, and we're just trying to use that for take it forward. But now there is freedom to work with so many more people, touch the lives of so many more people, and also get impacted by so many more people
Yeah,
in that sense.
which I think makes a lot of sense, because when you're working in a company, you have a particular role in a particular department, which is a smaller speck in the entire frame of thing. So your
Yeah.
vision, your day, your output is everything is aligned to that. And I'm sure now what you're doing is you are able to step back and actually see the bigger picture and, kind of help companies take them
Yeah.
through that thing, which is
Both are great, because it's like whatever you love doing,
absolutely,
right? Fundamentally, it's absolutely fine. Just that these are probably different. It's like a different viewpoint, right? You're
yeah.
viewing the same
I'm,
universe,
I'm
but from a different lens right now, maybe, so to
I'm sure
speak.
it must be making you think that, okay, what was I really complaining about when I was doing that role? Because in an organization, there's so much more going on. But, as an employee, when you're there, you only are able to see the things within your department. And, you're not able to see the larger picture sometimes, even though you want to. Now,
Yeah, like even if you see the larger picture, often what happens is, see, it's almost like our consciousness, right? It's like, to have an analogy, although it's not an exact analogy. Like, for example, let's say you have a torchlight and it's showing light on other things, right? So it just throws light on other things. It can't throw light on itself, right? It's like, so you're only seeing other things and these forms that exist, right? You're not seeing the essence literally. So this awareness of the forms kind of limits your awareness of awareness itself. It's like this guy called
beautiful.
Rupert Spira says, being aware of being aware. So, it's like, so when you connect your essence and your
That's
awareness,
brilliant.
then it's like, whether you are in a functional role, whether you are an individual contributor, whether you are a manager, whether you are a HR person, whichever function you are in, whether you are a CEO, whether outside the company, inside, you are just so aware, and, not getting entangled in anything and able to see things from a very nice perspective.
I think that's brilliant. Being aware of being aware, right? That's like a key takeaway, which is going for me at least. Now, you, like I said at the beginning of the show, you've got this Ivy League background, right? You were a gold medalist from Delhi College of Engineering, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And you went on and then you did from ISB, which is again one of the top MBA colleges. You were doing extremely well in your corporate career, right? And then you decided to transition to this particular career that you now have.
Yeah.
From the people and the world around you, there must have been, a lot of questions. There must have been a lot of labeling that must have happened, like why this, why not that? And you've got this background, etc. How did you move past all of that? And what has kept you going strong on this path?
So I think the connection to the essence, because there are so many people who are so close to me, starting from my immediate family, my wife, my son, who's still very small, so he actually doesn't differentiate between these things yet.
True.
But let's say immediate circle of friends, my very close friend from college, let's say, who's now a partner with one of the leading consulting firms. He's a senior partner and also in a very senior position. And all of them in their very, very good intentions, right, came and said, what are you doing? You are earning so well. You were in the succession pipeline for becoming a CEO. And in the family also probably, I was probably the only one who was that close to becoming a CEO in a fairly large company. So then the question was, why now? Why would you leave this, now? And, look at your batchmates. They're all earning. You will fall behind in the line, right? But then the thing is about connecting to your essence and doing your stuff, right? And it's about taking chances and doing stuff. I mean, it's not that I didn't like my work or something. There also I feel, I didn't have this much clarity what were my essences back then probably. It came after a lot of thought towards the end of my work period. And after I quit work, actually, I must acknowledge here the role played by this person called Arul Dev, who's been practicing Sri Aurobindo and Mother's integral yoga for the last 30 years. So, there was a lot of search for many, many years. I came from a very orthodox religious family. So there were all these things, importance to rituals, and both on my wife's side as well as my side, right? They're pretty orthodox and all of this stuff. So somewhere there was a search saying, this is not giving the answers, right? Throughout life, so to speak. Yeah. And then I started reading, and then I was not finding answers. Then came to the spiritual path, read Ravana Maharishi and so many other, went through all those questions, which probably many people go through, read through all of that, tried experiencing. And then after I quit work, I landed up with Arul. And Arul has literally he breathes integral yoga. So it was fundamentally brilliant, because here was something where I could really apply spirituality to what I'm doing in my life, Sri Aurobindo and Mother's full philosophy. And I will be thankful throughout my life to Arul for, helping me understand that, it's like only by standing on a shoulder of giants do you really grow, right? Like Isaac Newton said that in his letter to the scientist. It's very similar. All these giants like Ramana Maharshi, all these great souls that have been there, and for me, like people like Arul, for example, in the immediate present. And then there is one more individual I should acknowledge here, Mr. Balachandran Venugopal. He is father of this very famous Veena artist called Ramana Balachandran. Extremely, very, very deeply connected person. Whenever I kind of talk to him, all these people, right? You just grow so much, the amount of understanding it and the way they inspire you to deeply connect within you, right? It's just amazing. So I would say I'm just a product of, just that sangat of all these people, it's like, and whatever I'm reading, that's it, it's like nothing else. I haven't done probably anything myself much.
They always say that when the student is ready, the masters turn up, right? The teacher will turn up whenever the student is ready. And for a long time, when you used to read it much younger days, I never realized, what is this? The teacher is there and so the student is there, right? So I always used to connect it, but it's true. It holds true for me also. And it's so beautiful hearing you speak about the fact that, when you start out on this quest, and many people sometimes feel spirituality is like this something exotic and you kind of need to move away from your everyday life in order to practice spirituality. But the fact is you can integrate spirituality, which can help you lead the very same life in a much better way. So yes, that's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's like you had to almost redirect the the beam of light back to yourself, right? Saying, this is who you are, you are looking
Absolutely.
at something, so many other things. See, fundamentally, the thing is, again, there is this beautiful integral theory, both integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo and integral theory by Ken Wilber. They say, there are so many truths out there in the world. It's not that, what you say is true, only what I say is true. All these are truths. We are all trying to find out what's the larger truth. And all these smaller truths form part of a big integral truth. So
Very
now if
true.
this realization comes, right, then you're no longer entangled with one ism, so to speak, right? Or
Yes.
one religion or one path, right? And even
Yeah.
J. Krishnamurti says that pathless thing, right? So it's not about one path, right? It's about, you may take any path or whatever, but fundamentally then getting connected to who you are. And then, that is what is like really amazing here.
It reminds me also of what I read in Sadhguru's Inner Engineering book, where he said many people think you need to be this or that, but the thing is you can be this and this. So it's not about this or that. You can be this and you can be this and you can be this, right? It's just about
Yeah,
choosing it.
yeah.
Now, I want to also touch upon, something else that you do, which is your parenting workshops and the work that you do with teachers, with parents, and with the children themselves, right? So you're like
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
all three groups integrated together.
yeah.
Now, of course, working towards one common goal, which is everybody wants the best for that particular child, right? But what, in your experience, do you think is the one thing that each of these groups needs to learn the most? The teachers, the parents, and the children. One thing about that each of these need to learn.
Connection to the essence, fundamentally, that's it. Whether it's your own essence or the other person's essence.
Okay,
That's it. Like,
so over there, so yes, I mean, I get what you're saying about connecting to the essence, but how does that translate, let's say, to a teacher who's listening in right now and who may not know what their essence is?
so I'll give you a practical example. For example, I teach Mridangam, which is a South Indian percussion instrument, right? Drum to a lot of students. And youngest was my kid who was back then 1.5 or 2. We started then. Right now, the youngest is probably a 4.5-year-old child. And then the oldest is probably 65 years of age. They're all spread out, right? From US to Europe to India, all spread out. They learn online, they learn in person. So, and with the pandemic, obviously they're all learning online right now. Now, a couple of weeks back, I'll give you examples from different classes that happen across the week. So there is this one student who's very, very strong in his analytical mind, or the data mind, or the objective mind. So very, very strong to grasp all the objective experiences that happen around this person. So whenever I teach him, if I can give that person specific lessons, ask that person to analyze and figure out their own patterns, etc., that person is like really successful. And then I have seen that this person really enjoys the way they say the rhythm, right? There is this thing called vocal percussion called konnakol, where whatever you play in the instrument, you can actually say. So this person really enjoys this element of saying and being in rhythm. So whenever I'm able to introduce these elements in the class, or when we are having a session, this person really comes to that. It's like the spontaneous joy. And if you are neutral, if you are not entangled with anything, if you're not thinking that, hey, you know what, this is the rigid system of teaching, I need to, kind of conform to this, I need to teach this, then you will miss out on all of this. So if you are like truly listening, you're connected wide and you're open to the other person, and you're really seeing, they keep communicating to you. You know what, they may not be able to see it themselves many times, but you can actually see what is there within them. Okay, so this is one example. There is this other kid who's 10-year-old, extremely creative. And if I let's say wrote down 10 lessons and then said, okay, note these lessons down, he'll be bored. So then this kid really loves creativity. So I give him a pattern, and then I ask this kid to explore. And you know how much I learned from the process? I mean, like, there are many patterns I wouldn't have thought about. So it's like such deep learning. There is this lady who was a very, very busy career, but very, very focused about learning Mridangam. And she's in the US, and she comes every weekend. She'll come for class, without missing the class, come what may, whatever happens. Again, this lady is like totally driven by energy, right? She's like, this is the time when she's like really spending her energy on the Mridangam. She really wants to play stuff. And, so understanding what these people are connecting to within themselves as a teacher really helps. Now you can say, oh, this is all one-on-one, right? As a teacher in a school, I may have a class of 50 students. What I do? So there are 2-3 things. One is, a collective also has an essence. okay,
Yes,
like an organization
absolutely.
or a group of children. Also, even if over a period of time, you have a 1 year to spend with these kids, even if you're able to, let's say, connect to 10% of the kids or 20% of the kids, you would have made some difference, right? So I would say across, whether it's a child, a parent or a teacher, connecting to the essence, truly to the essence, and then seeing how you can enable them to manifest it in the forms, that is like one thing.
It's so interesting what you're saying because with all this e-learning that's happening around now, we've gotten to observe the schools and the teachers much more closely, which obviously that opportunity was not present before.
Mm.
What I have noticed, and I could be wrong over here, but that's just my opinion, is I have noticed that the kids are fine. It's actually the parents who need a lot of coaching, right? The parents need a lot of teaching. The kids actually left on their own are very fine. And the other thing that I've noticed what the pandemic and the e-learning has done is most parents seem to be reliving their childhood or maybe the way they were as students is what is coming to the fore, during the classes that are ongoing. And so their child may be very different, but then the patterns that the child is then picking up is the same patterns that the parent had when he was a
Yeah.
child in a school growing up. So I just
Yeah.
find that very interesting, and which is what even I completely agree with what you're saying, that it
See,
is about the essence.
fundamentally as a parent or a teacher, your role is that of a gardener and not that of a carpenter. So there's a beautiful
Absolutely.
analogy which says that a
Beautiful.
carpenter is given a task saying, you know what, I want this table chair set, right? This one table and 6 chairs around it. This is how it needs to look like. So the carpenter will go take an axe, saw wood, cut wood, and say, oh, you know what, I need to make it exactly like the picture. So all of us are in some way or the other, maybe our parents are product of this industrial age revolution, right? Where,
Absolutely.
this thing has to be manufactured in exactly the same
Same way.
form, shape, etc. I know many times, and schools are exactly a product of that. So schools, ultimately, many schools try to bring out carbon copies of, children. But if you are playing the role of a gardener, where what you're doing is you're clearing the soil, planting the seed is there, planted, you're clearing the soil, providing enough light to come, you just sit back and watch. If there are weeds that are coming, you clear the way. If the plant needs nutrition, you provide the nutrition, etc. But fundamentally, if both parents and teachers play this role, it's great. Then if they connect to the essence, because, whatever we may say, this is very, very tough in practice, right? We are also parents, we are also teachers. We understand that whenever somebody says something, we all have triggers, right? Something triggers and says, hey, you know what, I'm going to lose it now. This person is saying this about me. Our ego gets immediately hurt, right? So if we are connected to the essence level, we can transcend this ego. We can build a healthy ego.
Absolutely.
And, then you fundamentally understand, you know what, this teacher fundamentally is trying her best, but these are the things that are blocking. So why don't we help her out? Or this parent is actually saying this, but maybe at the essence level, she means this. So don't go by the name or the form alone. If we are able to connect to the essence behind the name and the form, it really makes life much more easy. Now, I may say all this, I'm still learning this. I'm still learning to practice this. To be very, very honest, there are so many moments in the day when I forget this, and I get triggered with my son or with anybody, but it's been better over the years is what I would say. Yeah.
Like you say, the trick is in being aware of being aware, right? So
Yeah,
when you do that, then it makes the process that much more easier, and the brain is a creature of the habit, right? So the more you keep doing the newer thing, the more then it absorbs it. And
it's like they say that awareness is mind in motion and mind is awareness at rest. So basically, if you can basically bring your mind to rest, not get entangled with all of this, and then, somewhere you need to get corrected, centered to who you are, the essence, and then, things start
just flow.
And
it'll just flow. You don't need to make anything happen. It'll just flow. So beautiful. And I think we should do an entire different episode one day, on parenting, on school, because it's obviously a topic of interest to so many people, right? Sure. I have a segment called Express 11, right? So where we will go into shortly, but just before that, you are an award-winning musician. You've performed in more than 500 concerts, right? Yeah. Now, tell me, what does music do for you? What does it feel like when you play the mridangam? What is that
initially, Lavin, I honestly didn't know. I just loved it. Okay. So though then I would go and ask my dad and say, and nobody was into music in the family, but somewhere I've heard some recordings here and there, and we didn't even have a TV back then or a tape recorder back then. So somewhere here and there, I used to listen to music, and then somehow took a fascination for rhythm and mridangam, and I always used to go and ask my dad, I want to join mridangam classes. But we were not doing very well at that point in time financially, and dad thought that studies were the best way, typical Indian middle class family. If you're there, lower middle class, then you think that you have to study well and then go ahead and then you will get a job and all of that stuff. No, product of those times. So then finally, when I was in my 10th grade, board exam staring right at the face, I told my dad, I assure you that, you want the marks, I'll get you the marks, rank and all won't suffer, don't worry, but somewhere please, allow me to do this. And I knew it was a very difficult thing for dad because we are not financially also doing well. So I should really thank my teacher, Mridangam teacher back then, Mr. T.R. Gandapani, who actually almost didn't charge a fee. It was like very, very less. And, I mean, honestly, like I would say I'm a product of individuals like this who have shown their largest, either in terms of sharing information or in so many ways, individuals who have helped me in multiple ways. But then over the years, I understood that it really helps me connect to a deeper part of me to establish things in rhythm, establish that flow, get into harmony. And when playing a concert, all of us are in harmony with ourselves, and then we come as a team, and then it lifts up the whole stuff. So that, there are these moments in the concert, it may not happen every moment in the concert, but moments when this happen, it's like amazing feeling. Similarly, like I learned this art form called Drupad, and it's been amazing journey because it basically helps you go within and see where is the voice gets produced from, which part of the body do you produce the voice, how do you modulate the voice differently, etc. And the journey has been like really amazing. Forget about becoming a stage musician in Drupal or something like that. The very fact that you're able to practice that art form itself is so satisfying. And there is, I mean, like you said at the beginning, the first question, right, that internal connect, that's what it really gives me.
It inevitably spills over into other parts of your life, right? That energy, that amazing energy, that connection, when you do that, it has a ripple effect even to all the other things that you're doing, I would presume.
Yeah, so you can, fundamentally the advantage with connecting to Essence is that you can connect to it every moment of the day. It's not like a form that you need near you, you need to carry it along with you, etc. Right? It's like within you, so you don't need to go anywhere, as long as you're alive probably, and I don't know what will happen after you die, but but as long as you're alive, it's within you, you can connect every moment, so it's like a dynamic practice, sadhana. Like it's not like you're taking time out for 20 minutes trying to meditate and then coming back to the living world and saying, what, all was like so nice in the morning when I was sitting for my meditation, now I'm back into the real world, everything is hitting me. But when things are hitting you, and if you can connect to the essence, that's when you really find the the advantage and the power of the whole thing.
Couldn't agree more. I think you summed it up so beautifully, Ram. You are like very good at words, I have to tell you that. Okay, so now we go into something a little fun, which is the Express 11 segment. So these are 11 questions that are going to be coming at you, right? And of course, the answers need to be express. Now,
rapid fire, is it?
I hate to call it that, but it's not that. Hopefully, you will agree with me once you're done with it. Right? Sure. So, are you ready? Can we start?
Sure. Let's go.
All right. Yeah. Okay. A musician you would like to be reborn as? Express Ram, express.
Okay. Niloy Ahsan, who's my Drupad teacher.
Fantastic. I mean, what better tribute than to be reborn as your teacher, right? A celebrity you would like to meet?
Ramana Maharshi, I never got a chance to meet him. So, if I, that would be like amazing if I.
Okay. One thing you think every teacher needs to practice before they preach?
Fundamentally, like connecting to the essence of whatever they are preaching, because if they are not connecting to the essence, it won't be authentic. So,
okay, point taken. Now, if you're stranded on an island and you could take along 3 people from history with you, who would those 3 people be?
Sri Aurobindo would be one probably. Stephen Hawking.
Beautiful.
And then maybe my Drupad teacher. Yeah.
So you've got science, spirituality, and music all covered over there, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be thoroughly entertained. All right. One quality you would like to infuse every human being with, if you could?
Love, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So understated, but so important. Agree. When the world reopens around you, one change that you would like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see everybody. I think this pandemic has provided opportunity to everybody to connect within, spend some time away from all the commotion that's happening around. If they could just continue, as though, it's not all back to the old days. So if they could all connect to their essences and know that everybody is here on the planet can, fulfill whatever they want to do in their lives, then that would be it. So have this belief in themselves, and then to be able to connect to their essence every day and live joyfully. That's something.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes. Um, if you could change just one thing, I know there are a lot of things you would like to, but if you could just change one thing immediately about the schooling system, what would that be?
Uh, uh, if we could bring in this thing of integral education into all the schools, where, often we only focus on the body in terms of physical education or in terms of the mind. We forget that there are so many other parts of being, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so there's senses, there is energy, there is emotional care. Mind itself is of so many types, there's a mind that analyzes data, objectifies things. There is
Right
a
and the
mind that's
left.
creative. There is the mind that essences out things, integrates it. And then there is your core, your essence. So if, let's say, the education system looked at human beings in this entirety and saw that, it's not just one being out there and one industrial pipeline where, or this thing where you need to, put kids, and then, assembly line where,
At the
you
end
need
of
to
the
get people
pipeline,
out
you get these
10th,
manufactured
12th,
products
nikal
who
de
know
raho, nikal
history,
jao type.
geography, civics. Yeah,
Yeah, and if they could honor, if the education system could honor the uniqueness of every child,
absolutely.
like
That's
this Shraddha, who's my colleague at Parenting with Depth, we run this together. We keep telling this to parents that, it's not this parenting journey is about it's about your child, right? Focus on the child, the uniqueness of the child. Same with teachers, right? When we do these workshops for teachers, for example, Arul, we keep saying the same thing. It's about the student, it's about the student. It's about who this person is as a being, etc. So yeah,
yeah,
if that could happen, and I know there are a lot of people who are working on it.
yeah.
Maybe it would soon, kind of
Yeah, it's changing. It's
become
changing
mainstream.
gradually. I agree with you. There's a lot of work being done. Maybe the axis is moving a little more slower, but once it turns, it will turn. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Passion to you means
Uh, Something that's fundamentally coming from your core.
beautiful.
Something that you really love doing every moment. Whenever you are in touch with it, there is a spontaneous joy. It's not like you're thinking, am I happy now? It's not like a desire you have to fulfill or something like that. It's like a inner aspiration that provides you joy every single time you connect with it.
Amazing, amazing. A quality that you have that you think sets you apart from the crowd.
I don't know if it sets apart or something, but
Still,
I think two things. One is I try to simplify things a lot, and
I
I try
agree. I
to really
completely agree.
element of fun and humor shouldn't be lost is something I try, because it's like spirituality needn't be boring, right? It's about connecting to yourself. It can be really fun. So it's like,
Yeah,
so maybe that, but then there could be so many people who could be doing that. But this is probably one thing that
beautiful. One song that always fills you with a lot of joy.
uh, actually there are many. Um,
Top
any
one
any any of those classical music songs or old Hindi film songs, any of those like really
fills you with
fill me
joy.
with joy. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the last one, a country that's on your travel wish list.
Um, I would say Bhutan.
Bhutan, I agree. High five to that. I have been
Great.
actually like following pictures about it and I was like, when am I going to get to go there? I agree with you.
My wife Deepa and I, we were telling our kids that, there's so much you learn while you travel also, right? So
Yeah.
there's so much, and then Bhutan is such an amazing place.
Energy wise, it's a very high
So,
energy place.
yeah, in fact, we were, even on the music side, we were planning to do a retreat there, but somehow, things didn't work out, but hopefully they will soon. Yes.
Absolutely. I agree. It's been so much fun, Ram. So I'm going to bring the show to a close by asking you the signature closing question, right? Which is, in all your, different roles that you've been doing, whether on the corporate side, whether now all the different works that you are involved in, and in all your years of experience so far, what is that one tip or technique that you feel always works with anyone, no matter what?
It's essencing basically. if you are able to connect to the essence, connection and connection to the essence, if you are able to connect to the essence, it works with everybody. If you want to connect with yourself, connect with your essence. It always works. You won't be at conflict with yourself. If you want to connect to if you connect to the other person's essence, you will look beyond what they're saying on the surface. What's their name? Who is this person? This person has done this to me in the past. All of the stuff you will overlook. This thing that he's saying, he or she is saying, may not exactly see, because words may not every time convey what the person wants to say, or emails and all may not convey. But fundamentally, if you know that this person is well-meaning, or what is that person's essence, right? And if you can connect to that essence, you will not get entangled with the surface level stuff. There will be this like a two-layered connection. I mean, just to put it into an analogy, where this deeper connection is always active, and whatever comes here, you'll say, hey, you know what, this connection is still active. This person really means this, and then you'll be able to then figure out and connect with the person and say, you know what, you mean this, I also mean this, and things. This is what we want. So.
Absolutely, and like they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So all of you who are listening out there, the amazing audience, right? So figure out your essence, and it may sound very heavy, like Ram said, spirituality or finding your essence doesn't need to be a boring thing. It can be a very, very fun thing as you figure out, okay, this is what I like, this is what I am, this is who I am, and figuring out what your core really is all about, right? So take that first step if you haven't started yet. And there are always amazing people around like Ram who can help you on the way as well. So thank you so much, Ram. Indeed, I would say you're the master of simplification. Such heavy concepts at times, I could clearly see you were able to break it down so simply, and I'm sure a lot of the audience is going to connect with the way you have put across things. So thank you so much for making the time and being on the show. It's been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Likewise, thank you so much, Lavin. Thank you to the wonderful audience. Thank you so much, Lavin, because very nice questions that helped go deeper again and connect and live the essence. So thank you so much for providing this opportunity to connect back to the essence again. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Ram is available on Facebook and Instagram, and you will find the details below the episode right now. So you can please feel free to follow him if you have enjoyed this episode. So take care, and I will see you again next week with yet another amazing, interesting guest. Till then, take care and have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.